Welcome to Global Information Security Society for the Professional of Pakistan.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum everybody. I'm Mohammed Umar Javed, and I'm also the managing director of my own cybersecurity company in the UK called CyDefOps Operations Limited. We've been operating for the last 3 years, specializing in cybersecurity operations related services such as incident response, threat hunting, digital forensics, and malware analysis. Yeah, sure. So I work with a range of clients across the world. So I'm obviously working for my company as well as a consultant, but I'm also providing services to a company called Kyndryl, which is an offshoot of IBM. So they split away from IBM in Q4 last year, around November, December. And I'm basically providing threat hunting services to that organization. The organization currently has close to 100,000 employees across the world, providing a range of IT services. So it's quite a very interesting and specialist role that I'm working on at the moment. Its activities are very, very varied. So, you know, as if I talk about the threat hunter role that I'm working on at the moment, I'll work very, very closely with vulnerability management, also within the organization, but also cyber threat intelligence to build a picture of the current activity from an adversarial perspective that's happening around the world. This could be cyber attacks, new malware, new APT groups. It could pretty much be anything that I need to prepare myself for in order to defend the organization from these types of attacks, but also maintain and develop hunts. So in the morning, I'll come in, I'll have a briefing with my colleagues to get an idea of what's actually happening out there, almost like a threat picture or a threat horizon on what's actually happening. Then I'll basically look at my task list in terms of activities that I've got. I'll probably start working on some of my existing threat hunts already and trying to build out queries for those in the various tools that I work with. And I'll also be engaged with speaking to the stakeholders to give them a threat briefing based on new activity and things that I'm working on and any additional findings. So it does vary from day to day, but that's generally it for me. Yeah, so I started working in IT in general just after I graduated in 2006, quite a fair few years ago. And I did quite a fair few roles around support and service management. And in around 2014, 2015, I'd worked like an 80-hour week on a deployment for like 3 weeks. And there's got to be a better life to this. And I had I'd heard about cybersecurity and I was looking to kind of get into it. But just like the challenges that a lot of people face when they're trying to get into a particular domain of IT, such as cyber, you have to have a unique feature or skill or expertise. I didn't have that at the time. So I thought, how could I differentiate myself? So I kind of spent a lot of time learning about penetration testing, the various subdomains of cybersecurity in general. And I also volunteered with the UK's equivalent of the FBI called the National Crime Agency. I was lucky to get on board with them. They trained me up in a range of different IT security and information security related disciplines. And I also got to work in Kenya. So from there, I've just literally, been on the ladder of cybersecurity. I work with law enforcement very heavily, with defense in NATO in Belgium. I spent pretty much a year there, and I actively learn, and you have to kind of learn as a cyber defender consistently across a variety of domains. So I've undertaken qualifications in penetration testing. I've recently undertaken multiple SANS and GIAC certs in network forensics and incident handling, and I've also done a battlefield forensics acquisition course recently, which I'm working towards at the moment. So my skills range from, as I mentioned earlier, incident response, malware analysis, digital forensics, threat hunting, but also cyber threat intelligence. I would class myself as a generalist, so I kind of like learning about all sorts of things, and I think that really has helped me become a better cyber defender. The UK job market is very, very interesting. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But I think the organizations that are looking for people, some of the organizations may not know what they want necessarily. And where they do know what they want, they're kind of very prescriptive. So let's say, for example, they may ask for specific certifications, or they may say, we want ISO 27001 lead auditor. And the thing is that you may have years and years of experience, probably more so than someone who's just literally got a qualification, and they may consider that person purely because they've got the certificate. So I would say, keep your opportunities open, learn consistently, and try to make yourself unique, but also try to understand and do some research about the companies that you're looking to kind of target, the ones that you want to work for. And also speak to people as well, like myself, and reach out, ask questions. That's how we learn and develop. And I do the same thing if I wanted to work in the Middle East. I'd speak to Shazad Bhai here to get a better understanding of that market. But yeah, coming back to my original point, it is very competitive, but I think one of the points to break through is trying to be unique in your own way, learn something a bit different, volunteer if you can, provide services to organizations that need it, maybe pro bono, free, for example. But yeah, I think people coming from abroad, just like any other specialism, just think about what value you can add to an organization and why they'd want you to kind of come on board. I think it's quite an important takeaway. Absolutely. I think it's a very, very good question, actually. If I was to break it down to a few points, I'd say flexibility. If you do secure a role, that's absolutely brilliant. But don't feel like, if you're a penetration tester or if you're starting out as a junior, for example, that you can't try to dip your toe into learn different things. If an opportunity comes up in an organization, put your opportunity, your hat in the mix, basically, and try to get involved, because that's how you learn and that's how you develop and that's how people understand you. Build relationships rather than burn them. Get to know people. Communication is supremely important in the field of cybersecurity, whether that's, you're speaking to people or if you're writing stuff down in emails and reports. Try to master that as well as you can. And the point that I touched on as well is try to find ways of learning and actually, progressively finding ways of building a skills path. So for example, if you want to learn about penetration testing, Google, research, read books, everything you possibly can to digest it. And the more exposure you have, the more you'll learn over time, and try to make it relevant to what you're trying to achieve from your objectives as a cybersecurity person, whether it's a technical role or a non-technical role. So I think those three key areas: flexibility, communication, but also, a consistent learner. I don't think I'm ever going to stop learning. I don't think most of us will. I think if you stop learning in cyber, you get left behind very, very quickly because the dynamic changes so quickly. So I think those three key areas are probably really, really important for people that are looking to come to the UK and develop and actually get roles in cyber.
Thank you, Umar, for your time. It was lovely talking to you. Okay,
my pleasure.
and thank you.